Yana Watkins. I am a junior at Christian Brothers High School and a 10-year member of Girl Scouts of America, Troop 54. This Education Matters and Black Lives Symposium represents my dedicated commitment to community service as well as my Girl Scouts participation. I am grateful that you agree with me that education matters in our lives and have chosen to spend this time learning information that is critical for our present time and our future endeavors. Remember, as Malcolm X once said, education is the passport to the future. Tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today.
Girl Scout is about leadership, and that's what we're seeing here. It's about making girls grow strong, and most of all, it's about making the world a better place. Malcolm X thought that as well. He felt very strongly about the importance of an education. He was a self-educated man, and he knew that in order to make a difference, you need to have an education, and he made that happen.
I am a winner is my affirmative decree, and it will be honored ferociously.
Today, we will hear from a panel of distinguished college professors and advisors. We will also hear from a panel of students currently attending college, as well as very recent college graduates.
Almost all achievement standards. We look at the California State Test with reading, math, science.
So you believe, as you should, that you can achieve anything that you want to.
English, math, science, freshman year, counts a new GPA.
The biggest thing for you is be prepared. Take your classes seriously, or if you're not, taking extra math or any extra class at your high school, go to the community college and pick up some units. Either go at night or go in the summer before you get to Sac State.
So, what must we do? Repeat after me. I am going to college.
I am going to college.
Again, my name is Yana Watkins. I am a junior at Christian Brothers High School and a 10-year member of Girl Scouts of America, Troop 54. This Education Matters and Black Lives Symposium represents my dedicated commitment to community service as well as my Girl Scouts participation. Why is education so important? I want to share several points, which are major stumbling blocks for education for African Americans. By 4th grade, 82% of African American boys are not reading at grade level. If you cannot read well, you cannot keep up with your class and learn the lessons being offered. You are now way behind. Secondly, African American students are 4 times more likely to be suspended than their white peers, and this statistic includes both boys and girls. Truancy and being absent. Students who miss 18 or more days of school each year are at a very high risk of dropping out of school altogether. Again, if you are absent, you are not learning your school lessons. These are critical areas that are part of the achievement gap, numbers and statistics that separate students of color from the general population, that affect and help determine our lives as adults. In this room today, we are mostly junior high and high school students, and we have passed some of these troubling areas. But we must be careful to always show up and be informed. For us, the achievement gap will show up on our test scores, on the SAT and ACT, on college entrance tests, and on our current school grades, if we are behind in preparation and effort. Today, we will hear from a panel of distinguished college professors and advisors. We will also hear from a panel of students currently attending college, as well as very recent college graduates. We will both hear and learn about what it takes to get to the front door of college. Having the pertinent and correct information is the first step, and runners are full today, providing you with first-hand information for next steps. Remember, as Malcolm X once said, education is the passport to the future. Tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today.
Right, so the achievement gap is basically the achievements, of certain groups right compared to other groups, and African American, particularly African American males, are at the bottom in almost all achievement standards. We look at the California State Test with reading, math, science, and I think to give a great example, at the Thomas High School, 8% of African American males are proficient in math. That was on the 10th grade CST test. So the achievement gap is very real. And in Capital, we spend a lot of time They're talking about what are we going to do to solve the achievement gap. It's really been kind of maybe a greater move over the past decade or so of really trying to take steps. But the research is really clear on what to do if you want to get students right to perform on the same levels. And it's two simple answers. I spent about 6 months writing my thesis kind of just on this issue. It's longer school days and longer school years. And of course, that time has to be built in the sense of, right, with solid curriculum and solid programming. But the fact is, if we want to make a step towards closing the achievement gap, I mean, it's a really simple answer. I'll say it again. Longer school days, longer school years. And when students hear that, they think, I don't want to go to school for longer. Who wants to go to school for longer? But I mean, the fact is, we want to be able to close a lot of the distance down in the sense of performance, from African American to Latinos, who are often on the bottom, to whites and Asians. The solution is really clear. That solution often encounters there's a lot of political obstacles, so capital's also about politics, right? Right? So there's funding mechanisms, there's union contracts, there's a lot of different issues, and because you have such entrenched populations who have been doing stuff for a certain way for so long, people often don't want to move.
See what I'm saying? America has an ADHD. America basically just shifts from story to story because that's how they keep you off your game. But now you're talking about a movement that's going into 2016 and getting stronger. And it's not just about police brutality, it's about education. It's about recognizing your power. It's about knowing who you are. Knowing that you're descended from kings and queens, essentially, right? And so, when I see your energy, when I see your passion, when I see the way that you march, when I was younger, I was involved in marches. I did that too. But the marches had a different energy level. So I was down in Santa Barbara for Thanksgiving, like last year. And there's a march coming down the street. Now, like I said, I've been involved in marches. You can do the King March, every year that happens. But the difference about this march is when it came down the street, now these were young people, and they were cross-cultural, because you guys have also extended the Black Lives Matter movement beyond just black people. You're making other people understand what's going on. But when it came walking down the streets rattled. The streets were shaking because of the energy, the ferocity of what it was that they were conveying. They were young people who were proud, who had purpose, who walked like they were children of God, which you are. And so, all of those things that I see, give me hope. When I look at you, when I look at the fact that you're here, that gives me hope. And then the one other thing, is when you're younger, there is a lack of awareness, which is a good thing. And I'll tell you why. Because as you get older, you may think about how you didn't succeed in the past and let that be a reason why you don't even try. In you don't have that. So you believe, as you should, that you can achieve anything that you want to. You're not looking back at your failures. You're not even looking back at your parents' failures and saying, you couldn't do it, so I can't do it. You're looking at their failures and saying, I can do it, I just have to do it differently than you did. So you have to put your own twist on it. You have to own it. And so when I look at, the young people in here and the young people out there, Black Lives Matter movement, all I see is a bright future. I see, people that encourage me and inspire me to continue pushing for justice and equality for all people.
This is your ticket to get money, scholarships. The higher your grades and higher your stuff, the more scholarship things are available to you. You want to help your parents help you. Because at the end of the day, you guys will become seniors. So how many seniors we got there? And my college people, they already know. We're going to say, how am I going to, you guys think, I want to go somewhere. And the parents will say, how am I going to pay for this? And you're like, huh? It's a joint venture. Your job is to get you good grades. We'll make sure we provide you all the tools that you need, but you need to get good grades. If you look at that other side of the form, it tells you the average GPA for state UC schools. I'm not sure if you guys knew that, but those were, for certain schools, you might be a little bit surprised, and most of them were over 3.0, 3.1. Now, if you're talking about private schools, it's a whole different ballgame. How many of you guys know you guys want to go to school? Is this yes or no? If you know, oh, some hands up. All right, your parents want to know who want to leave? It's cool. If you're not sure, then this is the thing. But I suggest, I encourage everybody to do, if you have an idea where you want to go, for whatever reason you want to go there, whether you have a good football team, a good basketball team, you have lazy cute, you have an cute, whatever will get you there, because your education, your books and studies will keep you there. Everybody else, nothing else is. Go to that school's website. Look at the freshman profile. It's going to tell you what the average GPA is for those students in that particular class before you, or the class that's just coming in now. A lot of students are right now about to get acceptances and not so much acceptances coming up. So you're going to see, for our seniors and juniors, or those who are in high school, they're going to see a lot of happy faces, you're going to see a lot of sad faces. Part of it was preparation. Some people prepare themselves better. Sometimes, if you look at those GPAs, some of them are off the hook. Let's look at one. 4.18, UC Berkeley. That's the average. Let's go to a state school. Pick a state school for me, man. Which one? What's Sacramento State? What does it say? 3.27, Sacramento State. Average, which means there's high, there's low. But 3.27, we're talking about average. Now, this is the nice thing about you guys, we'll let you know about for Sac State. Is this thing called geographical location. You guys get priority to go to Sac State because you live in this area. Now, if you apply to any state school other than Sac State, you're on the second tier. That's something they happened a couple of years ago. So you get priority to go to Sac State. If you have a 3.0, a lot of times, unless they changed it, I don't think they're looking at your test scores. You still need to take the test scores. Because you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket, because you want to make sure you know where you want to go.
I give freshmen a ton of advice, so I'll try to start from the beginning with your senior year. Challenge yourself. I know it's like, oh, senior year, I got senior honors, I'm going to go on a senior trip. You have to focus because this is your last year to prepare before you get to the university. At the high school, you got your teacher, they're going to remind you, did you do that assignment? Don't forget this week, this assignment is due. In college, that doesn't happen. So when I talk to my freshmen, they come see me and I say, okay, how's your first semester going? What's going on? Oh, it's way different than high school. I'm like, oh, this is 13th grade. No, Miss Jackson, no, it's different. Is it 13th grade? No, it's not. And so use your senior year to push yourself. If you're not taking math, take math. Because in January, February, your colleges are going to ask you to take a placement test. Just like, if you haven't done math in a year, you're probably not going to do the best on that math test. That math test is important because it's going to help us determine what level of classes to put you in your freshman year. So on my campus right now, on pretty much all campuses, we are trying to push graduation rates and get students to graduate on time. How many people are taking AP classes right now? AP anything? So AP classes are great. AP exams are better. So if you are in an AP class and you're doing really well, you really like the class, take the exam. Because the exam, if you pass it, is going to give you college credit. That's a big deal when you get to the university. It's a big deal for my parents in the back of the room because that's saving you money. We're seeing students come in, I work with new student orientation, we're seeing new students come in with 20, 30, 35, 40 college credit. That's already 2 years of college done. So when I'm talking to them, like, oh, your freshman year, you're going to do this, really I'm talking to them about things that they're going to do in their junior year. So it's saving you time, it's saving you money. I know those tests aren't free, but I know they're not $7,000 either, which is how much it costs to go to Sac State for a year. So again, challenge yourself, prepare yourself, and do some of those things now. The other piece of advice I give to freshmen is find a mentor. I've been at Sac State for almost 10 years. I have 3 mentors. I have a white male who's an administrator on my campus. I have a black female, Margaret Fortune. Anybody know Margaret Fortune? And then I have a white female who's a director of an advising center at another CSU campus. So I don't just go to one person. I don't just have somebody that looks like me and speaks like me and talks like me. You want to diversify. You want to have somebody, I don't care who it is, what they look like, that you can go and say, hey, I don't know what to do on this college application, or I got this email from the college and I don't know what to do. Can you help me?
As a senior in high school, what's the most difficult part in all of your freshman year, like transitioning from senior year to freshman year?
I would say the biggest part that I hear from freshmen is just the transition and the time management, because you go from Monday through Friday, 8 to 3, go first period, second period, third period, until now the campus says, well, what do you want to take? And when do you want to go to school? And when are you going to do your homework? And if you turn it in, great, but if you don't, that's on you. And so kind of stepping into that role and accepting, like, okay, this is all on me, I have to be responsible, I have to use my phone for something other than Snapchatting, that's when you start to, you know, mature, I guess, as a college freshman.
For me, it was focus. You know, there were so many new things coming at me my freshman year in college. You know, from the frat parties, you know, just it was really focused. You got all these activities, and I stayed in the dorms my first year. So, you know, I grew up in Bakersfield, turned 18, hit the dorms. You know, dorms is a whole different culture. And so, staying focused when you're staying in the dorms, away from, you know, any kind of parental guidance. You know, by the end of my first year, because you know I didn't make the transition so well. I said, you know, first, you know, that second semester after, you know, my focus lap hit, you know, then I was working twice as hard to basically, you know, bring myself back up to the standard. So I would say, you know, come in focused. It doesn't mean that you can't do other things. It just means that you need to understand what you're there for as your priority. And then you can do the other things after you tackle those.
I think the hardest thing for me was actually graduating from Berkeley. I started off in Florida A&M in Tallahassee, Florida. So I graduated high school in May. I was in Florida in August with me, my trunk, and I. No parents, no nothing, no family that I knew of in that area. I was all by myself. And the hardest thing, getting off the airport, realizing, you know, being in California, people looking at me kind of crazy. I don't know why, but then I realized later. But going to the campus, I had to catch a taxi to the dorms. The weather, and not knowing anybody, and then it was all challenging. So I think the hardest part was not knowing, the hardest part for me was not having a support system that I knew of at the time. Then I found out that I had a relative there, and that helped out a lot. So support system, you need a support system. I didn't come home for a whole year. We couldn't afford for me to come home. So I didn't come home for Christmas, Thanksgiving. I stayed away the whole year. That was challenging. Well, for the good side of it, because there's always a positive, always don't look at negative, look at positive. I got to go visit my grandmother who I had never seen in about 15 years. So that was a good thing. So you have to use your resources. So when something looks negative, you got to turn it to a positive. I always believe the glass being half full instead.
Do you guys desire to play college sports? Anybody? Yeah. So for me, my first college I went to was University of Nevada, Las Vegas, and and as a football player, especially, you know, to kind of jump back on what Jazzy was on, time management is huge. Football in college is a job. Like, we were working like 40 to 50 hour weeks, you know, so time management was huge. And for the program run Improve Tomorrow, we just had a dinner with my graduates for our RYT alumni who are currently college freshmen about a week ago. And so we sent 92% of our graduates to four-year colleges, and we had a dinner at my house, and we all sat around in a circle afterwards, and we kind of just talking about some of the challenges they were facing. And every single one, it was time management. It was like writing down your assignments, and, you know, the fact of just knowing how to organize your time was huge.
How many colleges did you apply to? How did you choose the school you attended? And how did you choose your major?